Harold, do you ever see a situation where you would support giving vouchers or tax credits to parents to send their kids to private schools?
No, and no, and no. Um, I think looking at the formula of vouchers and tax credits, I don't think that's the answer right now. I mean, we really need to study and look at the problems that we have in education from teachers. We're not funding early childhood the way we should fund early childhood education. And I think at this point, trying to rob Peter to pay Paul is a bad scenario when we really don't know the impact of what that's going to do to public education.
Okay. Also, there have been a couple of plans floated to consolidate schools. Do you favor consolidation of Spartanburg County's districts?
Well, it goes back once again. We pay for studies, study committees, and we never take any of the recommendations from these committees. And I think, in some cases, one district like Greenville may not be enough. 7 may be too many. And I think we really need to look at the impact, especially not to duplicate from an administrative standpoint. There was something that was out here recently which got the public kind of outraged of salaries. And I think when you look at the salaries that were paid and some of the administrators looking as if, duplication or being able to cut back, looking at that first of all, I think that there's a lot that we need to look at right now before making any decisions.
Okay. There's a lot of talk about the need to curtail spending in Columbia. Is a spending cap the best way to achieve that?
Well, I'm currently on and chairing the reform caucus that we have. Surely, yes, we need to look at how we're spending, but I think when you look at a lot of the challenges that we have, be it education, health care, we have a lot of challenges within the state. When you have people that are losing their jobs and don't have health coverage, the deficits that we're creating are enormous. Now, looking at how we're going to curtail and what's important, what's the priorities, I think that's where we have to, prioritize what's going to be best for the state, because it's different from the lower part of the state to the upstate, especially when you go back to education. The lower part of the state, we're not able to recruit industry in because of the school conditions. We have schools there that it's colder on the inside of the school than outside, plumbing from the 1940s. So the infrastructure problem that they have there compared to here, it's kind of hard to recruit somebody and put their kids or their employees in that kind of an environment. So we've got a lot of challenges that we need to look at and quit pandering to, people saying that you're overspending. Or, you have to be accountable. That's why we're in the position that we're in right now. But I think we really have to systematically and strategically look at and prioritize, this state.
Okay. What specifically would you do to bring investment jobs to South Carolina?
Well, the one thing we have to take care of the baseline needs as far as some of the companies. I've been told, and there's been rumors floating around that we're losing a lot of our industry because we don't have the workforce that's ready to go into these places. The thing that we need to concentrate on some is to train, that workforce, plug in with our technical colleges to provide the necessary training. It's just like with the power plant that's coming up. That's a $4 or $5 billion investment, and look at where they're looking at bringing the workforce in from Virginia and North Carolina. Is there an effort to train welders and electricians? Those are some pretty lucrative jobs when you look at, what they're paying per hour there in salary positions for at least 4 to 5 years. But we're not taking advantage of the opportunities that we currently have as far as training within the state.
Okay. You say that you're opposed to vouchers or tax credits, but in 2006 you supported a Republican pro-voucher candidate for state superintendent of education.
Mm-hmm.
How do you square those two?
Well, First of all, I listened to the candidate, and that particular candidate, knowing what you have to do politically, had talked about studying the problem. My support for that candidate was looking at who's in control at that particular time. And the emphasis was on what was created, the corridor of shame. Now, I saw that there was a possible bond to rebuild these schools. Now, if we're going to move forward, the infrastructure problems that I talked about, that was a bond that would have created, new infrastructure as far as the schools there, plus the job creation when you're looking at a $4 billion bond to rebuild. Now, I don't think, and I know that this particular candidate was not going to do that, but the candidate that's there now, Mr. Rex, Superintendent Rex, his first 3 forums that he attended also did the exact same thing. I mean, everything that Karen Floyd had talked about on the campaign trail, Superintendent Rex has kind of moved forward in that direction as well.